Om Sri Sai Ram. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satyam Brahma. Jnanam Brahma. Anantam Brahma. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Om Sri Sai Ram. In our previous talk, we mentioned that to say that God is in everything is only half the truth. The complete and absolute truth is that God is everything. He alone is. That is the truth, the ultimate truth. Because logically also, once I mentioned in my one of the previous videos that when I went to Gujarat in 1995, I suppose, for the marriage of my younger brother-in-law, I had put a condition that unless there is a Sai bhajan, I will not attend the marriage. Because the girl side they were not Sai devotees, but this was my, in a way, a condition. So for me to go there, they had agreed upon this. And during bhajans, they were all practically non-Sai devotees, except my in-laws, who are, of course, very ardent devotees for last more than 5 decades. Me and my wife. From the girls' side, they had hardly heard about Swami. But nevertheless, I sang the bhajans and my wife sang, and we conducted for about half an hour. And then my wife requested that I should talk something on Swami. Though it was a gathering of non devotees, but Swami's direction. So I spoke, and one of the Sindhi gentlemen who was sitting at the back on the chair, most of them were sitting on the chair, and we never objected to this. Some of them were in shoes also. We never objected to these formalities. He put this question, rather two questions. One, he told me, if what you say that your God has assured that if you take one step, I will take 100 towards you, then for the benefit of us, the non devotees, can you please ask God to take 100 minus 1, 99 steps towards us without we taking one step towards Him? Why he has to wait for one step from our side? Sindhi brain. But I'm also Sindhi. I immediately, when any such questions are put, I get instant replies from Swami. They are his answers. I in no way can do that. I told him, sir, the calculation with God is not plus and minus. It is in multiplication and division. If we take 0 steps, as you suggest, then whatever steps God may take to come to us, it may be a why 100, even millions and billions. Millions or billions multiplied by our 0 step would result into 0, isn't it? He said, yes. I said that is the reason this merciful Lord is giving us this clue. He is actually giving us the clue like a good teacher that you take one small baby step, maybe half step, at least that half, that one multiplied by his millions or billions would give us some results, maybe 50%. But if we keep zero effort, zero baby step, then his grace would result into zero multiplied by his billion steps. He understood and appreciated. Fine. Next, the same gentleman, he was very sharp, elderly person. And Swami enjoys such questions. So he put another question. He said, Sir, you are telling that God is everywhere. He is in everything. We have read it and we have heard it from many saints in many scriptures. But then tell me, in this ball pen, where is your God? He took out his ball pen in the pocket. Nowadays, nobody carries because of they carry mobile. So, but he was carrying that ball pen in his pocket. I said, "Sir, you bring your ball pen here." He brought it. Again, Swami gave the answer. I said, "Sir, you are very much right. To say that God is in this ball pen, you appear to be a very logical person. Tell me, sir, then who is smaller and who is bigger? Because if God is in this ball pen, then the ball pen has to be bigger than God." He said, "Yes." I said, "When you put ball pen in your pocket, the pocket has to be at least bigger or as big as the ball pen. You can't have a smaller pocket and put your ball pen inside it." He said, "Yes." I said, "That is why, logically also, to say that God is in this ball pen is only half the truth. He is in, out, around, everywhere." I remembered Swami's quotation, which he often tells during interviews and discourses. "I am in you, around you, behind you, besides you, always and everywhere." He doesn't say, "I am in you." He will say, "I am in you, around you, behind you, besides you, always and everywhere." For God to be everywhere, always, in and around, to say that He is in all of us, then He has to be smaller than us. And then what Krishna had declared in Bhagavad Gita, he told Arjuna that I am like a potter. The potter takes the clay from the ground and he shapes and he makes pots out of it of different shape, different size. But the clay is one. Pots are many. That Swami also declares. Pots are many. Clay is one. Stars are many. Sky is one. Jewels are many. Gold is one. Religions are many. God is one. So to say that God is in everything is only half the truth. Not even half. It is very partial truth. The complete truth is that God is everything. So now your pen, ball pen, is manifestation of God, the divinity. And because of His divine power, you can write with this pen. One scientist told Swami, "Swami, we are scientists now. We can also create 5 elements. We can create, for example, water, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. We know it." Swami did first of all Pichiwada, the foolish one. Who told you that 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen will make water? Because you broke the atom of water into two and then you calculated that it contains 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. Manchidi. To create one drop of water what laboratory you use, how much effort, how much money you put in. Just imagine one shower of water, entire ocean of water, the rivers of water. What laboratory God would have. Inca, still further. Who decided that two hydrogen and one oxygen will actually make water and not something else? Why two hydrogen, one oxygen? Why not two chlorine and one hydrogen will make water? Who decided that? Cosmic intelligence. You never decided it. You only dissected, you broke open your atom and to know that it is two hydrogen, one oxygen. But who decided it? That two hydrogen and one oxygen will actually make one drop of water. That is cosmic intelligence. And cosmic intelligence is only with cosmic authority. No lesser authority can decide. Yesterday I received one video and I posted it where one of our greatest tabla player, Zakir Hussain, Ustad Zakir Hussain, he mentioned in that video that during 1970s, Swami invited him along with one more musician to perform in Whitefield, Vrindavan. So when they arrived, it was morning and the function was to start after some time. So Swami said, "Oh, you didn't have breakfast? You come directly?" He said, "Yes, Swami." "Okay, first you eat something." And Swami then indicated to the person present there to bring something for them to eat. So fresh masala dosa was brought for both of them. Swami said, "Khao, eat it." Now this tabla player, Ustad Zakir Hussain, he says that he just, when he looked at the masala dosa inside, it was given the layer of red chilies, as in, especially in Karnataka, they do it, Andhra, Karnataka, even in Madras, in typical South Indian dish, they layer it with red chilies. As soon as he looked at the red chilies, he has allergy, it means he would not be able to eat it and digest it. But he could not say this to Swami. So he just looked at Swami and he started eating it. All the time fearing what would be the reaction. But in his own words, when he started eating it, he found the red chilies had transformed into sweet jaggery. The color was red apparently, but when he put it in his mouth, it was sweet jaggery. For him, probably not for the other person. While listening to this, I remembered, I went back, flashback in 1980s, our great psychiatrist Samuel, he wrote in his book also that once Swami was walking just casually along with one scientist. I can recollect his name, G.V. Rao, probably. He was one of the greatest geologists of India that point in time. They're casually walking around some place and Swami just asked him to pick up any stone. So he thought that Swami is going to examine my knowledge on stones because he was a geologist. So he picked up any small piece of stone. Swami said, "What is this?" He wanted to give some knowledge to Swami. He said, "Swami, this is granite." "Oh, no, go a little deeper. I know this is granite, but you are a scientist, you're a geologist. Tell me the composition." So he scratched his head and he started telling Swami the entire composition of granite, this scientifically. Go still deeper. Now this was end of his wit. He said, "Swami, this is all I know." Swami said, "Give this to me." Swami just took this and he just held it little bit away from his mouth and he did one. He said, now what is this? The granite had transformed into a beautiful idol of Krishna with flute in less than a moment. And he was giving description that granite has this strength to chisel it, everything. He was giving all the qualities, physical qualities of granite. In one moment, Swami blew his air, and the granite, the stone, turned into beautiful idol of Krishna with a flute. He was shocked, but that was not end of it. Swami said, break the piece out of it. Swami, this is granite. Just break it. He tried to put extra force because he knew that he has to break granite with his hands. An impossible assignment. But in his own words, when he just touched it, he could break it like a child would break anything. Put it in your mouth. It was sweet candy. Then Swami revealed to this scientist, essentially everything is divine. What appears to be granite, marble, this entire creation, if you go deeper, essentially everything is divine. This is all manifestation of that divinity. And divinity is madhuram, sweetness. Swami demonstrated the ultimate truth, and Swami has declared he has come to re-establish and reaffirm the truth of our Vedas, that everything is divine. Swami often quotes that Veda mantra, everything inside, outside, everything is Narayana, everything. This entire universe is permeated by the sweetness and love and bliss of the divinity. Sat, Chit, Ananda, truth, goodness, beauty. That is the ultimate truth of this creation. We see what is apparent. We do not know the reality. But it is our fault. Not fault, it is our lack of the ultimate knowledge, the awareness. Not knowledge, the awareness. Our vocabulary, especially in this English language, is so limited. It is lack of our awareness, and our modern education does everything possible to diminish that awareness. Awareness of our own selves, our own truth, our own reality, our own real identity. It focuses, on the contrary, upon what is not true. It makes us programmed. Our mind is programmed that we are this body, our identity, our Aadhaar cards, identity, everything is made on our physical plane. We are made to, and our minds are trained to be competing with each other when there is no other. Jealous of each other when there is no other. Enmity with each other when there is no other. War with each other when there is no other. Hatred for each other when there is no other. It is like dog being pushed inside a room made up of glass mirrors, and the dog starts barking at its own images, not realizing that different images in the different directions with different angle of refraction of the glass, they are his own image. He keeps barking till he gets exhausted. He goes mad. That madness of fanatics. because we don't realize that it is everything is our own image, our own reflection. Tagore has written in one poem, the entire cosmos is so well interconnected and intertwined that when you move a flower on the earth, there is a corresponding motion in the sky. Then what difference can we imagine? Yes, we have different role plays. We have different costumes. Like actors go and perform. Somebody is Rama, somebody is playing Rama, somebody is playing Ravana. But without Ravana, there cannot be Ramayana. As much as that without Rama, there cannot be Ramayana. So without Ravana also, there cannot be any Ramayana. Be sure of it. Once my wife, she is very sensitive. She said, why they have to put mantra, Kaikai and these characters? They spoil the entire sanctity of this Ramayana. I said, Manchidi, you take paper and pen and you write your own Ramayana. I have all the good contacts with the film industry and I will see to it that your story is produced and directed. You can direct it if you want. What would you write if there is no Kaikai, no mantra? You would write there was one king, Dashratha, had 3 queens and 4 sons, beautiful sons, and they all grew up in a very good atmosphere, loving each other, respecting each other, and Rama was made king, and they had children and they lived happily thereafter. What else can you write? And who would watch it? Who would watch this? And what do you learn out of this? Today, Ramayana is being watched even for thousands and thousands of years because of the role, the teachings, and the goodness being highlighted through the play of negativity by mantra, Kaikai, Ravana. If there is no Ravana, no Kaikai, no mantra, no exile, then there will be no Hanuman as well. Then there will be no role play for Shabri, Hanuman, Jatayu. So this is all his creation, his drama. He is giving different roles to. We are his performers. He can change the role anytime. Many times we see when drama is being performed, even I heard sometime many years back, maybe 80s, Swami found one boy not so suitable for the role play which he was doing, which was very positive, but his personality was not matching with the role play. So Swami shifted. He shifted him to the other role play and he selected some other boy to play his role. What difference does it make? And we are given this costume, this birth, this mind. They are our costumes, our instruments. We are essentially divine. We are spiritual beings. Given this body-mind complex, this intelligence, human intelligence, the human emotions, to play human role, different roles, unique. Everybody is unique in his creation. Even the beggar on the street, if you can make a movie on that beggar becomes the hero of that movie, isn't it? Everybody has got his own autobiography to write and play. And as I mentioned in my previous video talk, that even our dialogue, delivery, entry, exit, everything what we call accident or chance, there are no accidents or chances in his scheme of things. Everything is predestined. But yet we are not his puppets. Humans are not. Swami said, I have not created you to be my puppets. How would he enjoy the puppet show? You get bugged up after watching once. We are his performers. Krishna will provide, guide, direct, protect, provide. But he will not play Arjuna, he will not fight the war, he will not take the weapons on behalf of Arjuna. The director will demonstrate to the actor how to enter, how to deliver the dialogue, everything. He will have to demonstrate, and he does. But on camera, the performer has to perform. Director, no director will perform on behalf of the performer. That is the secret of this creation. And this entire Ramayana, this entire play is designed and directed with only one purpose: to love and to be loved. To be human and behave human, because that is certain. Never to cross the dignity line of humanity. Be human, behave human. Love him in all, serve him in all. They are fundamentals, prerequisite to play human. Because Swami says, as gold without golden values is unthinkable, a human without human values is unacceptable. And this God who can change the granite with one blow of air into the Krishna idol and then make it sweet. He can make chilies like jaggery. He is beyond our comprehension. He can play with all the five elements. Time and space are limitations for us, not for him. He is beyond time and space, beyond all these five elements. He has to be, because he is the master, he is the cosmic authority. That is the mistake we all do. We overestimate our role plays, our little achievements, little degrees, promotions, little authorities, little powers, which he mercifully gives us. He is a chancellor, he gives us chances to serve. But we, instead of serving his children, we want to dominate over them. Stupidity. And we underestimate his cosmic authority. We think that we can reform. That is why Vivekananda used to pray, give me courage, O Lord, to change the things which I can. Give me the wisdom to accept the things which I cannot change. And above all, give me the serenity of my mind. That serenity, the blissful peace to know what I can change, what I cannot change. He has given us little freedoms, and that freedom is only to perform as decided and directed by him. And always be in touch with him. Never overstep. But our Ravana Buddhi, like Ravana and all the Rakshasas in our scriptures, they teach us this truth, that we acquire our powers from divinity by doing tapas, by praying to them, and having acquired little powers with our tapas, we try to play God. And even challenge God, and even have that arrogance to think that we can do what God could do. We are his some special exclusive authorities. All foolishness. He alone is. He alone knows. He alone can. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai.